And a lot of people here worked on 5 pictures with me, and I know there's a lot of things said.
With the release of No Time to Die, Daniel Craig's tenure as James Bond ended. As sad as that was, this transition is a time-honored part of the franchise's identity. People have been pitching many actors to don the suit, but 2 of the frontrunners in the fan casting are Tom Hardy and Henry Cavill. In today's video, we'll figure out who these 2 would make the best Bond. Starting in the red corner, we have Henry Cavill. Fantasy fans will know him as Geralt of Rivia, while superhero fans will know him as Superman. But no matter which nerd community you look at, Cavill is a beloved actor. And how could you not love him? He's a geek and he's hot. That's a dangerous combination. Cavill has expressed interest in playing the part too.
As a president, I'm sure there are hard and tough decisions to make, which I think is more Batman's field.
In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, he said he'd love to talk to the producers and see what they could work out. Ideally, he'd be able to fit Bond into a schedule, and he made it clear that nothing is off the table. Cavill also sent a pretty strong message through his role in an ad for No. 1 Botanicals, which shows him posing with a silver Aston Martin. You may not know this about him, but he's gotten close to being 007. In 2005, when he was 22 years old, the actor made it to the final round of the casting battle, competing head-to-head with Daniel Craig, who got the nod. As Henry tells it, he was fat-shamed by Casino Royale director Martin Campbell, which may have been why he lost out. That isn't a problem anymore. Is it time for Cavill to land this role he missed by just a hair last time? He's a tough contender for sure.
You don't, and you never will. But that doesn't mean I'm your enemy.
Now in the blue corner, we have Tom Hardy. Hardy has been in the Bond race for a long time. Even before No Time to Die came out, we knew that Craig was about to retire, and the push for Tom Hardy to become the next Bond has been around since then. It's easy to see why. Hardy plays great as an anti-hero with questionable motives and morals, and he's a big draw too. He's been holding up Sony's Spider-Man universe basically on his shoulders. Besides the Venom movies though, the actor has impressed in a diverse range of movies. He's even one of Christopher Nolan's favorite actors, appearing in the brainy Inception, giving Christian Bale's Batman one last fight in The Dark Knight Rises, and heading to the shores of France in Dunkirk. But many Hollywood viewers might need to be more familiar with his impressive work in British cinema. Check him out in the spy classic Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which might be a good enough case for him to automatically win this comparison. Rumor has it that Tom Hardy was seeking the role in 2020 when No Time to Die was supposed to come out, and Eon was looking to replace Craig. Either those were just empty rumors, or things went sideways. Regardless, Hardy is undoubtedly one of the best actors in Hollywood right now, and he'd bring a gravitas to the role very much in line with Craig.
We got no way to understand this world. We got about as much sense of it as a bird flying in the sky.
With that, folks, it's time to touch gloves and for the ref to ring the bell. Let's begin by weighing up the pros and cons against Henry Cavill and the cons of casting Tom Hardy. And the biggest con against Hardy is his age. You see, Cavill is 39 years old, which isn't great, but it's a lot better than Hardy's 44 years of age. In the past, the Broccolis haven't paid too much attention to age when casting Bond, but that attitude came back to bite them during the Craig era. For various reasons, there were big gaps between the releases of Craig's movies, which wasn't the actor's fault. However, his age became a bigger problem as time passed, with the actor becoming more prone to injuries on set. Injuries caused some of the delays of his era. Now, Craig was 37 years old when he was cast, which was slightly younger than Cavill is now, but casting someone that much older, it could be a more sustainable choice. Besides that, Cavill is very popular with younger audiences, which is something that Eon should consider. One of the problems Bond is facing as a brand is that it feels a little too old for moviegoers. Craig's movies did well at the box office, but the franchise needed to hit the forward button and come to 2022. Casting one of the most beloved actors in the business right now would help. Up next, we have the case for Hardy. This comparison assumes that both of these actors are equal in raw talent, but Tom Hardy is a safer bet as an actor for pretty much any role you can think of. That's because he's seen and done everything, from superhero franchise to movies to big, bold action flicks to soulful dramas. Henry Cavill surely has it in him, but probably isn't great when you're trying to book someone for half a decade on a multi-million-dollar franchise. Going off Tom Hardy's more recent roles, he'd be a great candidate to take Bond down the same road as Daniel Craig took him. A grimmer Bond who hides inner darkness behind the cold veneer of being a spy, that's the kind of thing that would be right up the actor's alley. He'd also do a great job balancing that inner darkness with a surface-level womanizing charm. It's worth noting that Hardy is more easily available than Cavill must be. In case you haven't heard, Superman is returning to Metropolis in the DC movie franchise, and Cavill will probably have to find a way to balance the two commitments. There's a reason you don't see actors engaged in multiple franchises these days, and the fact is that Henry Cavill might not even say yes to the part if it was offered to him. Now it's time to crown a winner. Honestly, we'd love to see either of these actors play James Bond, and Eon can have our money straight up regardless of who they cast. But if we were the casting directors, we'd have to tip our hat to Henry Cavill. It's not that Tom Hardy isn't a great actor, but the fact that Cavill is younger and more appealing to a wider audience. He would help push the franchise into a new and more modern direction, and with him, the producers might even try a different style of Bond. Craig might have been a great change of pace, but if we were trying to go back to basics or inject a little more cheeriness into the franchise, Cavill would have to be the pick. The fact that he's tied up with Superman right now isn't something you can ignore though. We'd rather not have another Bond era where it takes 4 or 5 years to get a single movie. That would cause the franchise to lose the audience's pulse again, and you'd end up with another Bond era ending with a softer bang than the studio would like to see. Can Cavill renege on the Superman thing to become James Bond? We want to say we doubt it, but Cavill must be skeptical of the DC franchise, considering how his last 3 appearances in the series turned out. Finally, at least one of the actors recently responded to the casting combo, and it wasn't Henry Cavill. The guy is too busy fielding questions about The Witcher right now. The Daily Beast pressed Tom Hardy recently on whether there was a possibility he might be cast as the spy. After all, as we said, the rumors have been flying for years now, and Hardy was supposedly trying to get the role as early as 2020. Unfortunately, the Daily Beast couldn't get a response from the actor. He instead told the publication about a code among actors. If you talk about it, you're automatically out of the race, and that's why he couldn't comment on any casting news. Well, his strategy is helping him a fair bit, as bookies have consistently had him at the top 3 spots for getting the job. Wait, bookies? That's right, there are bookies out there that take bets on stuff like this, and they've had the odds for several actors to don the tux of 007. Isn't that a fun fact? Supposedly, you're curious to what the bookies are thinking. The odds of October 2022 most strongly favored Cavill at 5-2. Hardy came in at second with 3-1, and Bridgerton star Regé-Jean Page followed him at 4-1. Idris Elba, interestingly, is still a decent 7-1, despite all the signs to the contrary. That's it for today's video. Who would you pick for your next 007 from these actors? Do you have a superior third option? Let us know in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.